Welcome in. We're here for the top 5 tips to help manage toxicity. Little round of intros. I'm Morgan. Pronouns are they, them. I am the external relations coordinator at Modulate. That means I do a lot of things. I do recruiting as well as community and influencer relations and a lot of other stuff because hashtag startup life. And I'll pass it over to Krista.
Yeah, we'll see if I get the echo. I'm Krista. I do community management and creative marketing with the team behind Ooblets. My pronouns are she, they.
Hi, I'm Adam Kuda. I'm the Senior Community Marketing Specialist at Shell Games. So working with titles like I Expect You to Die, Until You Fall, and Among Us VR. And my pronouns are he, him.
Hi everyone, I'm Astrid. I'm the Communications Director at New World Interactive. We have a game called Insurgency Sandstorm, which is a multiplayer game. And yeah, pronouns she, her. Oh, jeez.
Is the mic working for this? Okay, great. My name is Justin Liebrix. I'm the co-founder of Gun Raiders Entertainment, and we make the VR social shooter Gun Raiders. And I am he.
All right. Well, again, welcome in everybody. Let's go ahead and dive on in. See if this works. It does. Oh, I should have probably gone to that. That's us, by the way. So tip 1 is one of my own, both as a gamer myself and working in community. For me, it's a multifaceted approach. You need to really take advantage of every possible avenue of getting that visibility into what toxicity is happening on your platform. You need it to be really accessible for players to report it, and it needs to take into account also all the different avenues that toxicity occurs. So like in gameplay, in voice chat, hashtag ToxMod, or in text chat, or all of those types of things. What do you guys think about that?
I think transparency is definitely always essential. And so like you said, like having it like readily available and easily accessible to be able to talk about that, definitely strong agree.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to think about tools as more than just software. Software is super important. We all love our different tool sets, but the studio is made out of humans and we are all tools in some variety. And so it's about treating your team as, oh, this is gonna sound so bad.
We're all tools.
We're all tools, but we're also all humans, and so it's about like finding that middle ground. Oh man, I just walked into a corner.
Nice. Is this one on?
No.
Cool.
Yeah,
I mean, regarding
Let's go like that.
regarding this topic, I think, it's not just software. It's so depending on the type of game you have, you're going to need different types of tools, whether it's technical tools or your people tools. And how you integrate things into your game is probably pretty specific to how your players are playing your game and the type of game that it is as well. Oh, cool.
I think it's working now.
Okay.
One thing, so part of what I do in community is, since we make tools for other studios to use, is I hop in and help out their community folks when they start using ToxMod. And one thing I hear almost every time is, well, what about manual reports? Should I still be doing that? And it's like, yes, absolutely. And then they'll inevitably say, well, it's so complicated. Like I need to get evidence, or I need to get video, or I need to get audio clips and all this stuff. And it's like, that's kind of where I'm coming at, is like, those are still totally valid, but they should be made as accessible as possible so players have that agency.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with high volumes, it's really important.
Yeah. And one thing on that note is I think it's really important to have like an anonymous avenue for people to make reports as well, because not everyone is comfortable. Like one thing I'm thinking of is like if you use Discord for your community and you use like a bot for tickets, not everyone is comfortable with everyone knowing their name and having that attached to their report. So I think having an anonymous avenue for that.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Just say also like being able to anonymously report as well, like instead of like having just like a public channel to like be like, hey, like something's going on here, like being able to privately submit or talk to moderators is definitely key and essential because they may not want to make their issue known publicly. So,
Yeah. Anybody else have anything on this one, or we'll hop on to the next one of our very aptly named 5 tips. We've got, I forget who this was, but
This
focus
was
on
me.
community. Is this you?
yeah,
Go
this
for
is
it.
me. Yeah. So my tip is basically just encouraging the community to work together for a common goal. So collaboration breeds positivity and hopefully breeds good positive relationships between the people who are engaging with each other. So if they're working together for something as opposed to working like competitively, then it can often negate some of that toxicity. The common goals are a great avenue for building that camaraderie. So like as a anecdotal reference, one of the communities that I manage is for a VR game. It's a single player game, Until You Fall. It's like a sword fighting game, roguelite. And the nature of the game is very violent. It's, you're fighting monsters with swords and stuff. So like, I don't know, on the outside looking in, it could be perceived as something that would be super hyper competitive, like how fast can you clear, like speed runs and all that kind of stuff, which could get very toxic. But instead, like we would have community events once a month that would have, challenge the players to try different weapon combinations or to earn so many, to work together to pool points together and then the total of points that they earned would then increase like the prizes that they could win from the challenge. And so like the community was working together and encouraging each other to keep playing and to submit into this challenge so that they could potentially win bigger prizes, but also like encouraging the players to then improve their own skills. And it just, it built a lot of like mentor type relationships for in-game and getting better about it. And just that idea of like, we're working to increase the rewards for the community at large, which could impact me, but also could, favor you. Like that seemed to work really, really well for building a positive and welcoming and I guess encouraging environment.
Yeah, kind of like focusing on less of the competition. I mean, it's still competitive, but like
Right.
you're in it together.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if you win, we all win in a way. Still have your own goals. Like I like that.
It's like crowdfunding, but
Yeah, exactly.
no money involved.
Yes.
Right. Another like easy reward that we did was like adding a bunch of emotes to the Discord server, or something like some kind of digital recognition.
People love emotes.
Absolutely, emotes are your best friend.
Write that down.
We take anything away
Side
from this.
tip.
Yeah.
Yeah, emotes, exclusive Discord roles. People love them and they don't cost you anything. So, and those are really easy ways to get your community to work together. Like after one of the challenges, we created a role that was specifically for, they were like a mentor position. So it's like, if you saw a person with this color, with this role, then they were someone who's super eager and happy to help newcomers to the game to develop their skills and such. And so it's them working together to build this positivity. You're instantly giving a positive avenue of communication, I guess, just by simply encouraging that collaboration.
Yeah, I think it's been a while since I played, but Final Fantasy XIV had a really formalized kind of mentor program. And they got like a name color and like a little badge. And then new players came in, and I think there were sprouts or whatever, sproutlings. And so there was like this pre-set up, like, hey, here's these people who really want to help you out, get you going, because it's a complex set of systems, and that collaboration is huge.
Yeah, and I feel like it doesn't just have to be in multiplayer games. So using your Discord or your community to designate those roles, like they can certainly still help for single player experiences as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's hop on to the next one. Who was this?
I think that was you,
Me?
wasn't
I
it?
think it was.
Maybe. All right.
Go for it. Go for it. It's yours
I feel
now.
like we talked about a few things. Yeah, I mean, you want to get kind of like the vibe of your community. And sometimes when you release your game, you think you're going to have a certain type of player, or maybe it's like, well, I made the game, it'll kind of be probably people like me. And then when you put it out there, you kind of find out that it's usually a lot different than what you kind of thought maybe your core player was going to be. So I think, it's important to listen to and also see like who is playing your game, who are these people, and how can you kind of cater to them now that you kind of see their faces, you can talk to them now. What do they like? So I mean that's kind of been pretty core for our game. We're very new to Discord as well, so we launched our Discord, had players coming in, but we didn't know that much about setting up a Discord, and so we kind of through chatting with the community and them kind of telling us, okay, well this is we're in these other Discords and they're really cool because they have these things. So what if we do this in our Discord? And so it's through listening to the players, finding out kind of what they like. And so it's almost like the community is somewhat separate from the game. I mean, it's like they're coming together to hang out. They like to play your game, and that's kind of a central focus. But after a while, it's kind of like not just really about the game anymore. It's more about this community and hanging out and making friends. So I don't know if anybody else has anything to add.
Yeah, I think on that note, I'm going to mention Discord a lot because that's where our community is focused. But I think setting out with an open mind and like kind of piggybacking off of what the community makes itself. So basically how that works for me is I'll like see and just lurk to see what people are excited about. And so for example, this is probably fun to say, we have like an unreleased ooblet in the game, which is just a little guy. And a lot of people are really sad that this is not a released ooblet. And I'll just watch people talking about it. And they started changing their Discord name in the server to say that they were waiting for this ooblet to appear in the game. So I've never revealed this to them, but I quietly made a role specifically for them and just started adding it to those people. And then they noticed the role in their profile just quietly. I don't tell them. I just let them find it when they're looking at their profile one day. But and then there's a fan artist role. So when you see someone posting fan art for your game, you just add a little thing to their profile. And you're just kind of like seeing what your community likes and then working with it, as opposed to making like a strict structure that you have to abide by. Hopefully that makes sense.
That's really nice.
Oh.
Yeah, I love it. Join in your Discord. Give me a minute.
Hi.
Hi. Any other thoughts on kind of celebrating what your community wants? Because you never know what that's going to be till you get it.
I'm going to be the contrarian here and say that you have to manage your community, and it's not only about what they want, it's what we need as developers and what we want as the community team to sort of keep a growing community stable. So for us, Insurgency as a brand has been around for over a decade. There's people who have been around for 12, 13 years in the community. And then there's other people who are brand new and they're joining literally today, right now. And so it's about finding a middle ground for everyone, where the really older, sort of longstanding players are not being, it's encouraging them to be supportive and welcoming as opposed to anything else, exclusionary or gatekeeping. The nice thing is, because they've been around for so long, they've aged, so they're like adults with families and they're a little more sort of hospitable than I think they would have been a decade ago. Who knows? I don't know. I wasn't there. But it's about creating a sandbox and everyone can play within it. But there's still rules and guidelines, and you have to make sure that everyone understands what they can and cannot do. And it's super clear. Everyone feels comfortable. And if they don't, you got to deal with it.
Yeah, I think that is super dependent on your community size. And more than that, like their activity level.
Yeah.
Because obviously if you have like a really fast-paced community, especially on Discord, you're not going to go and just be like adding roles or like commenting on every post individually. So yeah, it's the caveat there. But I don't recommend you do that if it's hard to keep up with.
Yeah, you have to do what's sustainable for you. and it's different for everyone.
I like the idea of the sandbox too, because like they can build what they want, but you still have to have the walls to keep the sand contained, or else you don't have a sandbox anymore.
Yeah, you just have a bucket.
And it's just messy. Yeah. And then everyone's sad. Any other thoughts there, or we'll keep humming along here?
I don't know who did this one.
I thought this one was mine.
Then go, take it, it's yours.
I think it was yours, and
Okay,
then I
cool.
also had it,
All
and
right,
then you
yeah.
let me steal it.
You want to steal? You start.
Yeah, I'll steal it right now. So this one, this comes to mind because sometimes when we are on the internet, people are angry. So this also is really dependent on community size, but you know, say you're working in social media and you're looking up the name of your game and you see in the flood of comments there's some really nasty ones. So you can either get upset and reply to those ones, or you can scroll up and see maybe this person with like 1 or 2 followers is really excited because they just tried your game. Maybe you can reply to them and make their day and make them a long-term community member because they feel welcomed by you and excited. And that's kind of what I mean by empowering, is you make them feel noticed, and then you make them feel like they're actually a part of something bigger. And then maybe they'll come join your Discord, or they'll sign up for your newsletter. And you know, it's one of those things where you hope it doesn't happen, but those people that feel welcomed by you in your community will, feel free to change this wording if it's strange, but stand up for your game and your community as a whole if they see it in the wild. So it's not just you taking on that burden, it's your whole community kind of standing up for each other, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Our Discord is getting it's getting larger than our small team can really manage properly, and so it's important that we are able to leverage people that really care about the game. So like I was saying earlier, we started a Discord. We don't know that much about Discord communities. Some of the people that are in there are saying, we should do this or this, and then they want to be mods. Great, that's awesome, because moderating takes a lot of time, and also we're kind of new to it. Why not leverage people that actually want to do it because they care about your product or your game? And then, so outside of Discord, we have, inside the game itself, also, there's people that are seeing things like toxic behavior, and they want to get rid of it, but, how can they? They're just one player. And so, they can either report back to the Discord, or what we can do is those specific people that we kind of trust, or we get to know them over time. We like to be able to give them some power through either that's in Discord, where they can, have access to extra information. We actually had a group of players that created this group called the Toxic Hunters, and they're outside of our Discord, but they have their own Discord, which is specifically made for kind of like hunting down these toxic players that they see in the game, and then they'll write their names down, or they have like a dossier or like a list of like, okay, well, these are all the people these are the people that we should look out for and try to get evidence against them, because if they can, then because we don't want to always just assume people. It's like he said, she said, like, did they actually say that? Because if we get a report of someone saying someone's toxic, we can't just action on it because we don't know, is that real or not? What's the context, right? But if we get a bunch of people that are able to kind of get some video recordings or video or audio evidence, then we can make a case for like, okay, well, we'll mic ban that person. So it's kind of like they can be the eyes and ears, because we can't be playing the game and in every single lobby all the time, right? So it's about empowering our players to be able to, like, they care about the community, they want it to be better, and giving them power to do so and make it better.
Evidence is key.
Yes, evidence
Super
is key.
important.
I will also add to that I think this is different depending on what your job description is as a community manager, but if you're out and about and you just made a social media post, it can be really tempting to want to make everyone feel better and cheer them up if they seem unhappy about something, but you should try to remember to kind of reel in your energy for the choose your battles, basically. It's like you're not going to cheer everyone up. Some people are just going to be mad, and sometimes it's going to be at you. And there's nothing you can do to make them feel better in that moment. And you'll start to kind of get a knack for those situations and when it's appropriate to engage and when it's better to just kind of let that person blow off steam and go away. And so, I don't know, I think a lot of us can get into a habit of wanting to make everyone happy, but we can't. So I think it's also okay to just gently ignore people and let them be mad sometimes.
There's definitely some that'll kind of like suck you into a vortex, and
Yeah.
it goes nowhere. You're
And
just dedicating
suddenly-
hours.
Suddenly you have a comment thread going, and this person is only more mad, and you've been so nice, and you don't understand why they're more mad. And it's nothing to do with you. It's just be mindful of that, is what I'm saying.
I think like on that note, like it's also like really beneficial, at least for me personally, is like setting kind of like a window of like, once this post goes live, like I'm gonna give myself this amount of time to respond to comments.
Yes.
And then after that window's done,
Walk away.
I'm
Yeah.
good. You know,
Yeah.
like, sorry, you can't engage with everybody.
Yeah, that's
so,
really important. Yeah. I try to do the same.
yeah.
It's hard.
It is very
Try.
hard.
And it's hard, especially when there's a lot of positive comments,
Yeah.
because you want to acknowledge all of those. And same with that, like you don't have to respond to everybody.
A like is just as good.
All right, let's hop on. What number was that? I think we're at like 4 or 5 already of our very aptly numbered. All right. I don't remember who any of these were. So I mean,
This might have been you, although we all talked about it.
I think we all
We all
agree.
really
Definitely
liked this
Yeah.
one.
empower your users.
Yeah.
And I think this one has notes of some of the other ones too. Is give your players that agency. Give your players that empowering. Like you've got your toxic hunters. You've got folks who are creating fan art and doing all this cool stuff. Let them take a little bit of ownership, because then they're invested too. They're going to help you. They're going to help you succeed.
I think it's also really important for those of you who are perhaps the boss of a community person, or your community person is part of a very small team. Empower your community manager, community developer, whatever their title is, to actually do stuff. Be it to talk to your players, to be part of development, not just on the sidelines, to have real input in how the game is made. Feedback. You don't have to take all the feedback from the community, but your community person really is like a cell membrane going in between, filtering. They're taking what's happening in the dev world back to the players, and vice versa. They're taking what's happening with the players back into the team. Empower your community people. And I know I'm preaching to the choir because you're all, here, right? But it's really important.
I love that.
Can't overstate it.
Cell membrane. That's so much nicer than calling us a sponge. I like it.
I like cell membrane, and I also like to say that we're building a house, right? And community is really, every room is a different part of your community. It's an endless house. You have a little room for the people who like to make fan art, for the people who want to be volunteer moderators. You have a room for people who, I was on a panel once with someone from Dead by Daylight, and they did a crocheting competition. So cool, right? Totally not related to the game at all, really. But there's people who like to do crafts.
I don't want to go
so-
see it now.
Yeah.
I want to see
And
like
then-
crochet
and
huntress.
Kit Fox did a cooking competition, and it's, you can do whatever you want. There's no rules, right? Just do what you want and then provide a space for it. And then kick out the mean people. The grumpy people, they can go. There's a door, and then everyone else can hang out.
Yeah. Yeah, on that note too, sometimes you will have people that are like, well, I'm going to leave your server. What are you going to do to make me feel better? What are you going to do to make me stay? I'm like,
There's the button.
it's okay. It's like, you can leave.
Yeah.
You don't have to force people to be a member. It's okay.
It's better to have more engaged and positive members than a lot of people who either aren't engaged or are unhappy. So, yeah.
I think a lot of people worry about those negative people, like, oh, I'm losing people, I'm losing community members. But it's like, how many community members is that person costing you?
Right.
Because I don't want to be around a bunch of negativity. Like, I'm not going to hang out if something, the trend is people being jerks. You get rid of that jerk, you might gain more people.
Yeah, it's not just numbers, right? It's the vibes
vibe,
of
yeah.
the previous line.
It's not just numbers, it's the vibes.
There you go.
I like it.
TM.
I like the note even of even the quiet ones, because that's probably typically me in other communities. I'd like to spend maybe like an hour a week just kind of going through and seeing names that maybe I don't recognize, or just like people. We have, I guess, that new forums feature on Discord where people can kind of post suggestions or post whatever they want, and I love just like being able to go in and kind of engaging and showing the face of the developer. I think it goes a long way. It's kind of like, hey, they're actually in here, they're listening. Whether or not my thing makes it into my suggestion for an instance makes it in the game or not, it doesn't really, that's not really the end goal for that. It's more like, hey, like, I see you, like, thanks for being here. I love your suggestions. Awesome. Would love for you to stick around. That kind of thing. I think it goes a long way.
Can you get people to use the forums feature?
Ours are spamming, so I don't know. Maybe
Okay.
it's just
We put our Q&A in there.
That's a good idea.
Hot tip, Q&A in the Discord forums. It's good.
I believe that. It's searchable rather than trying to go through an active channel.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
All right, any more thoughts on this one, or we'll see what we have next?
I guess I would just kind of like piggybacking off of the idea of like the quiet ones, like giving them, like there are people who just like to lurk, so giving them opportunities to interact, like kind of like question of the day or some kind of thing that they can just react based on on reactions or something, or submitting an answer to a poll or something. Like it's not something that they have to be vocal and engage and like actively be in the chat, but it's somehow that they can still make their voice heard. I think that that's a really good way to engage those lurkers, or at least appeal to them to start maybe interacting, because they're definitely valid and likely are very active, just not communicative, I guess. And so still give them a chance to have their voice.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think that something here is to make sure you're also a member of other communities, because then you see what you like about how other communities are managed, and you can take some of that into yours. Because I don't currently do anything like question of the day, but I really like doing it in other servers. So I don't know why I don't do it. But and some things are gonna feel kind of cheesy as you're doing them, like, oh, no one's gonna do this. But you would be surprised like how much fun people have with that stuff. And also, like, if it flops, that's okay too. Just try it. Yeah.
It'll get buried in the chat before you know it.
It will get buried
No
in
one
the
will
chat.
remember.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
One last thing I wanted to mention about the focusing on positive behavior is, like, when I think of the game as a business and a business owner, how much is talking amongst other developers, like in our team, like talking about these negative players or negative stuff in the Discord. Like, it costs money to have a discussion about that, and I don't want to spend money on people that are like being annoying or sucking energy out. I want them to be gone, and I want to focus our resources on making people happy, and focusing on positive players. And yeah, so sometimes that does mean you still need to have conversations about like, what should we do with this person, because they're taking like life force away from all the other people. But it's kind of like a bully. I don't want to give them much attention. I just kind of want to push them to the side. Try to address it. If it doesn't work, then move on. That's just their vibe, and that's okay.
Yeah. All right.
This one's me.
Yeah.
I kind of talked about this already, but I think it's super important for those of us who work in communications in general. We are all not robots. We're not game dev robots. Our team building the games, also not robots. And so for us on Insurgency, I spend a lot of time working with our team to make sure that they are taking the space that they need to live, right? To be happy and okay. And that means a lot of really practical things. It means making our players understand that we don't reply to things on weekends. We don't reply to things outside of business hours. If we do something special on a weekend, like participate in a charity stream, for example, they'll take a day off during the week. Like, it all balances out, and we don't schedule posts. We post when we're ready, and then we are around to reply to things when we're around to reply to things. And it even goes so far as we ship our updates when they're ready. We don't have a published roadmap, which is wild to me, having a live game with no published roadmap, but it's okay because we talk to the players. We are big with engagement. They know that we're around. They know that we're working on it, our updates and whatever, new content and fixes. We just don't put dates on it until we're ready, and it's okay. Everyone's still alive, you know. We're all good, and nothing's as mission critical as you think it is. Really, we're not, except for those of us in very certain parts of the world. We're not in active war zones. You know, no one's in the emergency room. We're not doctors saving lives. Like, we're building games. People are meant to have fun with these. You're all meant to have fun at work. This is, you know, it's okay to just be a human being, to walk away from your social channels if they're being stressful. Take a day off if you need to. It's like, it's okay. And the key to this is that it's okay to start teaching our players that. They need to understand that we are all humans, and they can't get what they want all the time. They have to chill out. And the more we can empower our teams to like put that out there into the universe, there's a lot of education that we can all do. And I'm talking about everyone in the games industry, not just community people. We all need to teach players more about the industry so that it's a little bit better for everyone. All of us together.
Yeah, I think it helps players realize. I don't know why, but it always feels like there's this sense that players assume we don't want to make good games. Like,
Yeah.
we play games.
We're not lazy.
We want this to be fun. Otherwise, like, I don't know. It's so weird that they sometimes will take almost an antagonistic approach. It's like, no, hang on, we're people too. I enjoy playing game XYZ. Of course, we're going to do what we can to make it better. Like, chill a little.
Yeah. And I think part of that is sometimes you're going to look at what other games are doing with their community, and you're going to be like, oh, well, so-and-so replies outside of my business hours. So-and-so is replying on the weekend, and they have this nice public roadmap. And, you know, you're going to try to do those things too because you think that's like the industry standard. But outside of like very specific exceptions, there's no laws for how you...
There's no rules.
There's no like official
whatever you
rule
want.
book for like what you provide for them. Like, if you have provided the game for them, you have fulfilled like your most basic obligation to your community. Like the rest, and I feel like it's really easy to forget this because we're in this era of like constant updates, constant patches, DLC. When is the next DLC coming out? But like none of this is stuff that's like part of a guidebook for making a game. Like it's all extra on top. So
Sprinkles.
yeah, it's all sprinkles. I say this because we don't really have a public roadmap either. And every once in a while, I'm like, I want a nice fancy roadmap, but like, it's so much work to have a nice public roadmap.
And then it's even worse if you can't live up to it.
That's what I think as well. Like, if you are not sure that you can live up to the thing that you're presenting, it's so much better just to update as you go.
Yep.
And I think that most people will appreciate that more, personally.
You have anything over there, Justin?
Yeah. Okay. So when we first started kind of launching, and yeah, it's really easy to get sucked into your phone, and you're getting pings all the time or notifications, and it just you can almost like never unplug. I mean, we already can't like unplug enough because we're working from home. And then now it's just like constant, pings on the Discord, and you want to be attentive. But I know over the last year, I've just kind of like, I don't even almost look at those. And most of the time, people are asking questions and things, and they're getting answered already in the chat. Like other people are chiming in, and obviously I don't get the ping that it's answered, but almost all the time now that I check, oh, it's already been addressed. I don't have to do it. I don't have to find it. So I mean, it's okay to just ignore that or turn those off. That's cool. And then the second thing would be, I don't know if this is just a games thing, but I mean, like, yeah, the dev team gets called idiots like all the time. They're like, these guys don't know what's going on. Like, trust me, we know quite a bit what's going on.
We're just not telling you.
Yeah, like you as an individual might have like your own needs, and that's cool. Like I'm trying to address them, but also we have other needs, like the needs of everybody, and we have all this aggregate data that you don't have access to. There's technical limitations. There's tons of stuff that we know, and we are playing our own game as well. It's not like we're just in a cave like working and not talking, not in there. Like we're in there often. It's just we don't tell everybody. So I mean, you gotta have some thick skin. Get used to that. Your community will also stand up for you if you empower these users and give them information, which I think maybe is part of the next slide.
It was also one we did earlier too. Yeah,
Oh,
like a
is it?
lot of
Okay.
these really tie together. It's an intricate web.
Yeah. Okay.
There you
So
go.
cool. So talking about transparency or visibility, we like to give we have a group of testers in our Discord. There's about 100 of them, and we kind of give them access to the new stuff that's unannounced. And a lot of beta testing goes through them first, and then we'll have discussions with them before we release to everybody else. And the thing that I like talking in this part of our community a lot is because I want buy-in from everybody in there, like why we're making decisions. So if we're, let's say, nerfing a weapon or buffing something or adding a new feature, I want them to know like why we're doing this, so that when it gets launched, you don't get a whole bunch of people hating on it or like raging, why is my favorite weapon, like now it sucks, it's the worst thing ever. And we want these group of testers, because they're very active, to know why we made these decisions, so that now they can address these people in the community when they're raging about it. And then again, I don't have to look at my pings because somebody else is doing it.
Put your phone away.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Cool.
And on that note too, this kind of goes with what you were saying earlier about how other people will step in and start answering that. But the nice thing about getting your community to that active point is once a developer like responds once or twice, so many people will be more than happy to be your parrot.
Yep.
And you can just like leave at that point, because so often I'll go to answer a question and you'll look and see multiple people are typing and like it's already answered for you. But
Pinned posts are also great.
No one reads this.
no one.
No, but at least from my community, I feel like people will then point each other to the pins posts.
They will, and then someone will ask how to find it, and then
It's
it will. But you should use them.
You can hyperlink to pins and stuff too. So
Yeah. I am a little bit the opposite of this. So with our community, we are not transparent, but we are very visible. And it's really important distinction, I think, to make, where we don't explain the why. They want to know the why, they can get a job at the studio and understand what our situation is. Otherwise, we do what we're going to do. So we're super visible, high engagement. We hang out with the players. We're in the game a lot. We do streams all the time. We're on the social medias. We have Discord, all the stuff. We're around, we're chatting. We talk about how things are going, but we don't explain ourselves because we don't have to. It's not our job to justify ourselves. We do what we do because of our situation, right? And everyone's development situation is different. And so we just make sure the players understand that there's a space for them. We're listening to them. We do take a lot of their feedback and bring it back to the team. But at the end of the day, like, decisions are made as a business. It's not just player feedback alone. It's lots of different factors. And so we we make sure they understand that too. Some things we can't change and some things we can. So we make them feel heard. They are heard, and we make nice sentiment reports and all this stuff. But it's, we don't explain ourselves.
Yeah.
And I'm not ashamed to say that.
Well, and speaking from recent experience too, you're always going to have that one person that's like, well, I'm a software developer and I know that you didn't need to do it that way. And then you're just digging a hole together.
So, you can't win those conversations.
can't.
Oh my gosh, I had to suppress an audible sigh. Yeah. No, it's fine. There's definitely goes back again to that. You're not trying to make a bad game.
Yep.
Listen, just things get nerfed, things get buffed, things get changed, things get added, removed, whatever. Again, nobody wants to make a bad game. Trust us.
Yeah.
Getting handed
Are we
questions.
Q&As?
That's a hefty pile.
Oh my God. Can we do this instead?
I don't know what we've got left. I'm too far from the laptop.
yeah.
That's self-explanatory. Let's just plan for the worst, expect the best, like running out of time.
Just cross your fingers.
And then I have a note here saying we're not going to get through all these questions, so you can absolutely feel free to find us in the expo hall or outside, just outside the chat, or reach out to us. We'll have some contact, I think, on the next slide where you can find us, how you can get in touch with us. I think several of us have booths and stuff too throughout the rest of the week if we don't get to your question. So I'm going to go switch to that just so you have it there. And let's dive into some of these. Mark, you have to let me know if I run out of time because I don't have my phone handy now. Okay. How can community managers manage up effectively and prove their value internally, or prove the value of community internally?
So I'm taking this one. I'm spending a ton of time trying to figure out how to do that because I come from community and now I do more like community support. Our team handles both, and PR, content creators, all the stuff. And because I have a background in community, I'm trying really hard to figure that out so that I can advocate on their behalf above me. It's hard, and it really depends on what your boss understands about community, about vanity metrics and how dumb they are in terms of measurements, sentiment. So reporting is your friend, I'm sorry to say. Start loving spreadsheets and slides, right? Sentiment reports, analytics reports, figuring out which metrics actually do matter. The number of followers you have doesn't matter, but your interactions, your engagements, the actual content of it can matter a lot. I think it's a losing battle to chase ROI like sales. Community is not about sales, right? It's about creating an environment where your players are with you for the long haul, especially if you have a not live game. If you're at a publisher or a studio where you're doing one game at a time, you need to bring your players from game to game to game over many, many years. You have to keep them around when it's quiet. And so it's all about just like creating that house, that cell membrane, whatever it is, for everyone to hang out with you essentially on the internet or in real life at PAX or all these different events. It's really hard, but I think reporting is the number one thing to do, and then really dig into what kinds of reports will represent what you're doing and your community the best. It's kind of vague now that I'm saying that out loud. But yeah. Just try it. Try it and then adjust.
I think I'm just gonna keep lobbing out and just have whoever feels really compelled to take it can take it, so we can get through a bunch of these. How might you mitigate, interact with, or ignore the community outside of, but still relevant to your own? So I'm assuming this has to do with things that maybe aren't necessarily part of your game, but taking place in your, people are talking about it or engaging with this concept or event or whatever in the community.
Yeah,
I mean,
Bit of a
same
tougher one.
difference, no?
yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on what the topic is, but we have places for off topic where players can just go and shoot whatever. They can just chat amongst themselves about non our game related stuff. And that's cool because we want it to be a place that people want to hang out. It doesn't have to always just be about our game. Yeah.
And I think engaging on those channels yourselves, like also like help to humanize your team and your community management because showing like, hey, I'm not just here to do business or to work and to keep you guys in line. Like I'm also human and interacting with these things as well. So definitely important to do that too.
I've got one follow-up to Krista's point. What are some other or your favorite ways to delight your players in small ways?
Ooh, what a great word.
Delight.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
like
a delightful question.
Well, we don't have a meme channel on our Discord. I'm sorry.
We don't either.
Okay, and it's a team decision, and I understand because those can get really weird really fast. As much as I love going to other servers to find them, I don't want to moderate one, so I get it. But there are like a handful of people that make really delightful memes, and I make sure to like directly reply to them when I see them. Or like there are some people that go out of their way, like Tier Maker, if any of you are familiar with that, the website where you can like list all of your favorite somethings, by tier. Someone put ooblets on that recently, and I'll just scroll and lurk and I'll make sure to like point out that I saw it and appreciate it. And I'll go look at the Reddit and I'll see a lot of people crochet ooblets, and it's so delightful. And I make sure to comment on every one of those. We have a lot of parents in the community, and they'll post pictures of them playing with their kids, and I'll make sure to comment on those. But I think just making people feel seen, especially when people are making art for your game, because that takes a lot of time, and that's like a piece of someone's soul. So even if you just say thank you, that looks really nice, I think they'll remember that for a long time. So.
Yeah, kind of piggybacking off that, but for everybody, what are some common community events you'd recommend and some to stay away from? Like some horror stories if you have them.
I mean, we did, our community spearheaded a talent show on Discord, and this was during COVID, yeah. So some of the mods were like, hey, let's just do a talent show, and I didn't know what that even meant, like in the context of a gaming community on Discord. But yeah, we were advertising it, and we sponsored like some in-game currency for it. Anytime we can actually sponsor anything, so people are doing tournaments. But yeah, the talent show was really neat. So people are getting on and like playing guitar or saxophone, and then one of our developers volunteered to be like a judge on it. So I mean, that was something that I really loved. I hope we can do it again. But yeah, tournaments is something that works for our game.
We've done definitely tournament style stuff for some of the games that I've been working on. For one of them, we did like a called it the 8th anniversary celebration. So it was basically like the birthday of when the game launched. And so we had like a big like tournament. We had like a speedrun tournament, a writing contest. There were 2 other events. One was a fan art contest, I think. And then the other one was just like filling out a survey and like randomly choosing one of those people to get a prize. And so like, and it was all just like swag that we had for the game that then we would send out to the people who won those tournaments, and that generated a lot of interest because it was appealing to different people of different interests. Like the super hyper competitive and game focused people could compete in the speedrun tournament, and then the artsy people would could submit their fan art or writing contest. We had. The third one was a trivia contest. So people who are really invested in the lore of the game, we made like a Kahoot game and did that live. And all of this culminated into a one-night event where it was like a Discord watch party where you got to watch the finalists' runs for the speedrun tournament and then communicate about like, oh, their strategy and like, wow, how cool and impressive was that? And then announce the winners of the contest during that event too. And that worked really well. We had a lot of people in watching the watch party and stuff. And then they were excited again for it the next year. So stuff like that was really cool and efficient.
Anniversaries do anniversaries. They're such an easy, like, you know when they are, you can plan for them, you can do whatever you want, and they will fill your content calendar up with goodies that you don't need to depend on a game update or game content. Like, you can just do your own thing outside of the game. Anniversaries, highly recommend. Make up an anniversary for your studio. Like, find out when you're incorporated. Just make that whole month about the studio. You have your game anniversaries. If you have characters with birthdays, you can do that. Like, just pick stuff with dates that isn't related to having an update or content, and you are set. It's so good.
Even community events, or like specific days, or like where something cool happened in the community, like remembering that day is such a nod to the people who were around, and they appreciate it like tenfold.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention one thing, that this is not as easy as doing an anniversary, but we have in-game user-generated content, and then that goes quite a long way. You got people submitting skins for like weapons or skins for new player avatars. People they're like looking at them, they're commenting, we're often going in, and then their stuff gets in the game and they get a copy of it themselves for free. That is like a huge thing for us as well.
We have Sandstorm has a pretty active modding community, and so we've had, well, there's a lot of mods just in general. We have a few community-made mods that have become content for the game, and the winners of those contests have all gotten paid, which is really nice. And so if you can do that, that's really great. And we also do charity streams. We try to participate. We don't typically run our own, but if a charity like, say, Make-A-Wish or Red Cross or someone like that, if they're doing an event where streamers participate, we have one of our community managers runs our Twitch channel, and so she will do streams in support of other charities. And again, that's something where we don't need to depend on a game update or new content, but we're doing something. And I like to think it's for a good cause, like charities are good.
I'm gonna boil the next two together because they're similar. So first part is, as a tiny studio, when should I get a community manager?
Yesterday.
Follow up, when growing a Discord community, or really, I guess, any community, how do you build an engaging server with a small amount of members? Like, what's the difference between managing a server with 50 versus 500 members? Or 5,000 or 50,000?
I feel like I can speak to that a little bit because I have my own server with my own community that's roughly 200 members, and then the work server, which is closing in on, I want to say, 30,000 members. It's not as loud as you would think that is, but it's, if you section the channels well, it's quite manageable. Knock on wood. But I think in the early days, it's really about letting everyone build it together. And if you let people build it with you, those people are going to stick around and they're going to talk about it with other folks. And they're kind of going to be, I mean, not to use this word for a small community, but word of mouth marketing basically is what it ends up being. And especially if people feel listened to, and if you're communicating with them regularly, even just like going in and saying good morning every day, like that goes a long way.
So good.
Like I have okay, this is gonna sound terrifying to some of you, but I have 12 servers I say good morning in every day, and I say good night in some of them too. But you keep those connections for years. People remember that. People start their day with that. And I don't know, I just think it reminds people of everyone's humanity before they start their day on the internet.
The super highway.
Just give people
I'm gonna squeeze one more in here. We just got a couple minutes left.
Yeah.
And this one just feels relevant to kind of what we've been talking about. How do you prepare when you know you're going to get negative feedback?
I definitely can speak to that one. We have an FAQ that we update a lot, all the time. we prep answers ahead of time, and then we know when we're launching something. But really, we just chat with our players. We hang out. When we have updates happening, it's all hands on deck, everybody in all our various channels. And we just talk to people, and some people want to blow off steam, sure. I think ultimately you just have to let it happen and then you roll with other things. I try and encourage everyone on our team to build a community where we are celebrating each other's wins rather than tearing people down. And then hopefully that bleeds out into the rest of the community where it is a culture of celebrating epic wins. Like our TikTok, for example, is just player clips. And it's player clips of neat, fun, cool, epic, whatever you want to call it, wacky explosions, weird sniper hits, whatever it is. The point is that they're fun, good experiences, they're positive experiences that we're putting a spotlight on, and we're not spotlighting the bad stuff. We just deal with it and move on. It's, but you kind of just have to have all hands on deck, everyone chatting. Engagement is the key, and it'll blow over.
Let it happen.
Yeah.
The day will end.
Yeah.
They will calm down again.
Yeah. Go for a walk. Like literally.
Go for a walk.
Touch grass. Just get outside.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for being here with me. Thank you all for your questions.
That's what we ended on.
How much time do we have left? I think we're out of time. Yeah. I think there's also, yes, if you want any resources or details from the discussion, grab the QR code. And I think at least I will hang out at the summit tables for a little while, because I know there's a ton of great questions here that we didn't get to. And that way, if you feel cheated on ending on that last one.
I like it. I think it was good.
But thank you all so much for joining us. I hope you took something away from it. And have a great rest of your conference.